I was in a court where the judge is seated. We're having a discussion. I was waiting for my case to be called, and someone carried a bucket of water, was passing through the court to go to his house because the court was in the living room. I was like, hey,
wait, hold on.
I'm not joking.
Hold on.
Welcome to our YouTube channel. This is the Gonksmen TV. Thanks for sharing, liking, subscribing. We're grateful again. We always say that we're grateful because we do mean it. We are grateful. Today we're continuing our migration series where we're taking some time to talk to a couple professionals on what path they took to immigrate to the US. And today's episode is on the immigration story of a lawyer. Counsel, I greet you.
I hail. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So my name is Isaac. As usual, that's Bright.
As usual, Bright.
That's Bright, and this is lawyer Antoinette Esofi. Can you please introduce yourself quickly?
Esquire. Hello, everyone. I'm excited. I mean, I've been following the Gonksmen since they started this whole idea to it becoming a fruition. I'm pretty proud of them because I think as professionals, we really need this both home and abroad to just throw some light on important issues and just help each other out. As they said, I'm lawyer Antoinette, but I usually don't even say lawyer. I'm Antoinette. I'm a lawyer by practice. Licensed to practice law both in Ghana and in the United States. In the US, I'm barred at the New York bar. Currently also working on being barred in a couple of other states as well. So once again, excited to be here. Looking forward to a very fruitful discussion, very conversational, and let's keep the energy up.
Exactly. I mean, one of the main things we are focused on is to help people show people road.
Yes.
So quickly before we move on to the main topic, how have you followed the All African Games, right? Ghana has been winning some medals.
Oh, some.
We have done what this is on record our highest medal tally. So Charlie, let's give them some.
We will clap. Yes, if you do well, we need to clap. Yeah. we can't always criticize Ghana. At some point, at the end of the day, it's our country and that's where we were born. So I will give kudos to where kudos is needed. I was reading a bit on it, and then they were saying that they have amassed about 68 medals. So that's pretty exciting. But for a host country, okay, so let me give them their goods. For a host country, they've done well. I think there were a few skirmishes here and there. Apparently, even the podium to stand on to receive awards, printed numbers and things.
Give them their flowers.
The flowers.
I think the administrative side, as always, it's not. But I think the athletes themselves,
the athletes deserve it, and I think this is a platform for us to see that there's something beyond Ghana Black Stars. We love Ghana Black Stars, but we really need to pour into other sports because people are making us proud. Look at Black Princesses; they did what Ghana Black Stars wasn't able to do.
We used to love Ghana Black Stars. Right now,
we still love them. But we feel like they're not as patriotic. They are not as patriotic. Anyways, let me give kudos to Black Princesses. They did an awesome job, and I hope the government has and satellites too. Yes, they won yesterday's match, right? Awesome. So they need to put in place very, very similar packages than they do, like they do for the Ghana Black Stars. Good 30,000 each. Dollars wouldn't be a problem. I don't want to hear CDs. I only want to hear dollars. I only want to hear dollars.
Anyway, so Antoinette, Bright, do you want to take us away?
I do agree with you that we need to make them enjoy. And I mean, when we spoke to the doctor last time, it all cuts across the economy. Well, we pay people well for what they do, right? So they don't end up living in their numbers and whatnot.
Exactly.
But back to law.
Exactly.
Hey, Ghanaian law. Some people have said on this channel that some laws in Ghana, or depending on your stature in the country, laws could be just suggestions.
Hey, Mother.
Oh, I do not ascribe. I do not ascribe to that statement.
Yes.
It was in context.
Me
It was in
neither.
context, but go
But
on.
so what? I guess the bigger point there is like, obviously, like if you get money, right, you could, find your way around it, and it kind of happens everywhere. Maybe more so in other places than some other places. But anyways. So, what is your like general assessment of the legal system in Ghana? Like, from 10,000 feet, where is not just Ghana's laws, but the practice of, like being a lawyer and all of that, the whole process, where do you think that sits?
I would say that the laws, let me just start from the fact that the laws actually work. And during my legal practice or my legal education leading up to practice, I came across certain acts, laws that I didn't even know existed. But I was like, okay, so these laws are in place, but people are not giving life to the laws. They are not testing the laws in the courts to see if really they are going to get the reliefs that they seek when they put these laws to test. And so I think it's not necessarily that the laws do not exist. Coming back to your point, it means that the implementation, the giving the force that the law needs to actually work is where the issue arises. Some of the issues that I saw were what you also highlighted. The system, the legal system it has been wrought with a lot of corruption, the corruption disease. It's there. Secondly, I'll say there are certain people who are not taking the legal practice very seriously. Why would I say that? Some people are in law school simply because they just want to have the law degree, but then they are not willing or ready to sit down and delve into the laws, understanding it, and actually giving life. Some people don't necessarily even have a passion for it. They may be doing it simply because a lot of people are doing law now.
Politics too.
Politics too. They just want to get that degree because it comes with some sort of nobility, comes with some sort of respect and some sort of status, but not necessarily the practice. So it could be that so many people are going to law school, but many few people will actually be practicing it. So some of these laws are not being given life to. And three, the lack of much investment into the legal practice. Some of these courts are horrible. There was a court, I remember during practice, there was a court that looked like someone's living room. And the living room I'm talking about is not like a nice house living room. It's like when we go to our villages.
Yeah.
I was in a court where the judge is seated. We're having a discussion. I was waiting for my case to be called, and someone carried a bucket of water, was passing through the court to go to his house because the court was in the living room. I was like, hey.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not joking.
Hold on.
Oh, where was this court? Is that at Bekan or something? Yeah, he was because he's seen this, and it's like the living room. It was one of these district courts. He was carrying a bucket of water, walked behind us to go because the court is the way for him to cross to his bedroom to go and bath. So he carries the bucket of water, and then he just passes through. I said, hey, what kind of court is this? There was another court in Kaswa. The judge doesn't even have a bathroom. She had to use, excuse me to say, a chamber pot. So they had to make so once again, so I think some of the issues I've highlighted, lack people knowing the law and actually practicing it. 2, corruption. 3, lack of investment in the legal systems. And that also translates to people being unhappy, lawyers being very unhappy at the end of the day, because those who actually know and are passionate about it may not get enough remuneration for the effort and then the zeal that they bring to the table. Everybody is being told, when we're in law school, we're being told that you just need that one case. You just need that one case that will change your life. And a lot of people are holding on to that dream. But I think that even before you hit that one case, there should be at least enough compensation. There should be enough structure there that you can live comfortably before you crack that $10 million case for you to change your life. At least at the end of the day, you shouldn't be.
So some lawyers are blocking $10 million cases in Ghana.
Oh, why not? Why not? I mean, let's say if you are a lawyer for an organization or an individual, and then you are suing a huge multinational organization for, say, unfair unfair
trade practices or something.
unfair trade practices, competition issues, like stuff like that, and it's worth $10 million. And then you are taking 10%. What does that say? You already have $1 million. So I mean, it's there.
I see. It's part of that too. Like, I mean, if I'm thinking back, when I think back at the population, a typical Ghanaian, right? Their income levels are kind of low anyway to begin with. So it's part of the problem also that people generally just can't afford the services of lawyers. And so so on the lawyers front, they are not getting cases, bring enough money. But then it also means that a lot of people don't get the representation they so much need.
Yeah.
I would think that if you move outside of places like Accra and maybe Kumasi, right, you could go to some districts and may not even find like a good number of lawyers, right? So
that's very true.
How does our economic, situation as Ghanaians feed into all of this?
I think you highlighted it perfectly. People cannot afford lawyers. If you look at the scale of fees, I was looking at it recently, a scale of fees of how much a lawyer should charge, even that is sometimes even lower than we actually do, and you cannot afford it. I think for a junior lawyer, I don't even quote me on this, but maybe like 500 cedis an hour or something.
Hey.
And how many people?
500 cedis an hour actually for
no. When she said 500, I thought she was going to say per case. Hey,
yeah, I thought per case too, but per hour
no, I mean, especially if you are drafting something, let's say you are drafting a contract, it's going to be on an hourly basis. And even the US, that's what it's done. Usually law firms bill per hour, not per, per case could be when it's like a litigation issue. But if it's more like a retainer and you are doing certain things, it will be per hour.
But
so
that
like obviously
taking like I would assume more than half of the population out of this.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's very like
true.
Okay. Anyway,
that's very true.
So in terms of going through the system to become a lawyer, right? Like how did you find it? Is it because I know there's been stories about the fact that like the Ghana Legal School or something Amokola should be expanded to bring in more lawyers. And you're also saying that there are people that are coming into the practice not really because they want to practice law, but for other activities. So juxtaposing those two things, like it seems like we need more lawyers, but then on another hand, the school is not being expanded to bring in more people. So what do you make of that?
In terms of needing more lawyers, I have seen since the time I was called to the bar that the law school has opened up to take more people. During our time, so let me quickly take you through the process during my time. So during my time, we didn't even have a lot of private law schools. Subsequently, schools like Montcrest sprung up. I think there's one called Empire. Then those who do the external, so like it's a London law practice, like Lancaster University. So you're studying law at the Lancaster University, but in Lancaster, Ghana. Which other universities?
Lancaster, Ghana.
There was Wisconsin. I think there was Wisconsin. There was CAF University. All these other people have now sprung up to be teaching law. So that means that there's more people. More people are having the opportunity, because during my time, when we got into law school in tech, we're just 33 people who made it. So you can imagine how many people applied and then were cut off. We're just 33 of us. And subsequently, I think going forward now, because of that fee-paying students option and all of that, more people are getting the opportunity to do law. So I think that is being taken care of. I know that they are currently building the Ghana School of Law, like a bigger campus, so that they'll eventually move from Makola, and I think it's on Legon campus somewhere. And now we also have Gimpa campus for the actual law school. We have Gimpa, we have KNUST now also has law students. And then, so I think that there's expansion. The last call to the bar, I'm sure over 400 people were called. During our time, we were just under 200, like 180 something, because it was very stringent. So I think they are seeing the need for lawyers, and then they are trying to like relax the standards. I would say relax the standard, because that means that we are opening the room for mediocrity. But I'll believe that they're just opening and giving more people an opportunity
well, I
to
guess
be able
on
to
that,
practice.
Antoinette, sorry, very quickly. So I know people have talked about even the bar exam, right? There have been
Yes.
instances where people say, oh, there's a lot of corruption going on there, right? And so on and so forth. I mean,
Hey.
I would not put you on the spot to
Yeah.
comment on it, right? Necessarily. But the argument has always been kind of what you just pointed out, mediocrity, right?
Mhm.
But I would imagine that just if the system itself is robust enough to filter out the people who are not as interested or who don't qualify, right? I don't think we should worry about more people coming in, right? Because if you have a robust examination system and interviews and whatnot, right, and of
Mhm.
course it's transparent, people don't need to be Akwesi's brother to be called to the bar, right? Stuff like
Right.
that. That I personally I don't see the point of saying of worrying about more people becoming lawyers when, as
Mhm.
we have just mentioned, it seems once you take out Accra and a few places, like we need a ton of lawyers across the country, right?
Yeah, I agree, but it's like goes back to the economic issue you raised. Everybody's thinking Accra or believes Accra is the place to make it. So even if we train them, because I had a lot of mates somewhere from Sunyane, Kumasi, a lot of them end up still coming back to Accra to practice because they feel like after struggling in law school, I'm not going to be one of two lawyers in Kintampo. I'm sorry if there are more lawyers, but I'm not going to be one of two lawyers in Kintampo. So I'm going to come to Accra to have a
Yeah.
fair level playing field and increases my chances of getting that
The
$1 million
10
case
million.
rather than being paid by goat and sheep and plantain. Fingers of plantain in once again, I apologize. In
Don't use
Kintampo or
Kintampo
somewhere.
again.
Yeah.
Right.
or so or something.
Right, it makes sense. I guess the government also has a role to play because I think legal dispensation is obviously very important, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's a little. I mean, I get the perspective of the lawyer; they want a better life, but as a
Yeah.
nation,
Yes.
people also need legal representation, right? So
Yeah.
I
They
guess
do.
Yeah.
the government has to do more on that.
Yeah.
Okay, good,
The
good, good.
government has
Now
to.
let's circle back to why you decided to leave Ghana. I mean, you said you're called to the bar there, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
still
Yeah.
can go to a Ghanaian court and practice. So
Exactly.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Esquire. Uh, so, but then what? Why did you decide? If you could share a little bit, or in the how what may be going through the minds of say a young lawyer in Ghana when they're thinking about leaving the country.
But to add to that question before you go, is it even an issue that like lawyers are leaving? Because we know there are some professionals that are like leaving in droves. If you are the only
Mm-hmm.
person who left, or two of your friends or something, maybe that's not an issue, right? But if there's maybe you can add that. Are lawyers also leaving in droves, and why did you personally leave?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, lawyers are. I'm surprisingly lawyers are leaving, and I'm
Really?
surprised because there used to be a lot of. I used to see it more in the health field. So like doctors, nurses were leaving, and of course other professionals who were thinking that, like say for actuarial science like this, is I think you stand a better chance of having a more fruitful career abroad than in Ghana. But in recent times, lawyers are leaving, and I say that not because one or two of my friends are leaving, because right now I get a lot of people reaching out to me through LinkedIn telling me that, hey, I see your portfolio and I want to do something similar. A lot of students who are even in school now are yet to be called to the bar saying that once they finish, that the next thing is leaving. They don't even want to practice. Whereas I even practiced for over 3 years before I took the step to come to the US. Coming to the US, what I didn't have the intent of actually leaving because I feel like even at that time it wasn't that bad. I left in 2019. I don't think it was that bad, but it's like after I left, maybe it could be the fact that now a lot of more people are being called to the bar.
So,
A lot of people are going to look. So a lot of people now can do the LLB, but then now the bottle gets smaller when it comes to entering law school because of
okay.
entrance exam. So we have a lot of people having LLB degrees because there are so many private universities issuing the LLB degree. But then there's one thing where
Law school.
going into law school and it's a fewer number. So a lot of people have degrees. And what are they doing with a law degree without being able to practice? So a lot of them are looking to move to the US,
Okay.
to the UK and see greener pastures. That could be one of it. Two, the issue of not being fairly compensated also comes to play. Three, another issue is that the legal practice is sort of like very much concentrated on land law litigation, like these kind of smaller, I'll say smaller, but okay,
Where land
a lot
guards
of
are involved.
land guards are involved. If criminal law doesn't pay that much, corporate law we don't get as much. Corporate law is what pays, like commercial I used to do a lot of commercial litigation, and we're
You
one
were
of
paid
very
as
few
much.
from.
So
I
is
was
it
fairly
so?
compensated, and it was very few of us were getting good compensation
That's
because
such
I remember
a lawyer way of saying I was paid really well.
fairly compensated. I was fairly compensated, and
So
the
I guess
interesting thing is,
so when you
mhm,
say actually I'm interested in the corporate law, is it that there aren't that many interesting cases from, I mean, we know that corporations,
yeah,
people always complain about, oh, they are not paying what they have to be paying, right? Even when it comes to salaries, right? You could have some, say, even foreign companies or even local companies not paying so well per employment or labor laws and stuff like that, right? So is it that we don't find these such cases worthy, or like what? I'm just a little
it's
curious.
because once again it goes back to the practice. Not a lot of lawyers are interested in like commercial and corporate. It's like it's now that it's getting better. A lot of them were when we were in law school. I actually even had a lecturer who told us that if you're not doing litigation, you're not a good lawyer. You're not a lawyer. Period. So having that ingrained in your head, a lot of them are trying to look for litigation. A lot of these companies and corporations stay away from litigation because it dents their reputation. It puts a delay
Hard
in
press.
execution of contracts, like
Yeah.
actually implementation. So they like a lot of settlements, they like a lot of negotiations, mediations, and arbitrations. And it's in recent times that people are now going into those fields. So at that time, lots of these cases, juicy cases, go to 2 or 3 law firms, of which I worked at one. Then there was another one. There was Endona, there was Benty Angel, there was AB and David, JD and MD. Like there were like 6, 7 Kimaki and partners. There were like 6, 7 lawyers that were known to do these commercial and corporate practice, and so they had all these juicy briefs. Everyone else was doing litigation. So it's
And land guards.
now that we have a lot of millennial Gen Z lawyers, and remember, right until about 10, 15 years ago, lawyers, you used to have like, you need to have like a first degree before you could do law. So these lawyers were older, but it's now that we had a lot of people like myself who were younger and being called to the bar at what, 23, 24, 25. And so we are the ones who have come up and realized that there's more to this law. Maybe I just don't want to do litigation. I think that's what has amounted to a lot of people moving and living abroad, because the opportunities to have this kind of practice are not there. A lot of
Yeah.
these firms still focus on litigation and land law and etc. So a lot of people are moving out. So I think that accounts to that. The
Interesting. So a
rise
lot
of
of
lawyers
lawyers
moving
are
out.
leaving. My big takeaways are we are increasing our pool of lawyers, right, with some of these initiatives, and then a lot of lawyers are leaving.
We are increasing our pool of LLBs. We don't have the law school
LLBs.
to take them because you have to finish the LLB and go to actual
Go
law
to
school.
Right.
But because
So I guess it begs the question: are people with LLBs leaving as well, or so? What I guess one thing that is concerning is, so for instance, when a doctor leaves or when a nurse leaves, these are professionals, right? They could be actually practicing and they are leaving, right? So I don't think somebody with just an LLB can practice. Correct me if I'm wrong. Can they go
They
to court
can't
and
practice, but then they have more opportunities. So, for example, they can come here, become what, paralegals. They can enter into legal compliance, contract managers. So that's why that's where it happens that they leave, because they try entrance exams once, twice, they fail to enter law school, and they're like, "What am I going to do with a law degree?" Some of
I
them
see?
travel to Gambia,
Gambia,
Nigeria to pursue the law degree there. Once they are called to the bar, they come back to do what they call the post-call degree, where you might have been barred in a list of certain countries, and then you can do a 1 year course instead of the 2 year course, and then be called to the bar. And then
I see.
by then your mates have like what, 3, 4 years at the bar. So at that point, people are like, listen, I am better off maybe even with my LLB degree leaving. So when they come here, they can't find jobs. There's a lot of compliance, and that's where you know how corporate America is. So many corporations, small, medium, large scale companies. Everybody's thriving, everybody's making it. In Ghana, it's like 2 or 3 people who are domineering and leading this. If you are not in politics, for example, you're not going to get these opportunities. But America is so large that you don't need to be in politics to get a job in a corporate company, to get a job in the federal space. So they do a lot of compliance rules and take their time to write the bar. Some of them don't even write the bar anymore, because even just with their LLB
They
degree,
are
topping
fine. They are fine with what they.
with 1 or 2 certifications, they are
Okay,
fine
cool.
to do compliance. So that's why they leave.
Okay, so
Interesting.
what was the path for you to like, you came here, I think you did an LLM or something like
I
that,
did
but
an
take us.
LLM because that was the whole intent. Like I said, I wasn't leaving in terms of I'm fed up with Ghana, because I was fortunate to
Okay.
work in these big law firms, and like I said, I had the opportunity to work on some of these juicy contracts and etc. But one main they were juicy, but because I was in the company, I wasn't even getting that much money. It wasn't a decision to leave Ghana. It was simply a decision to get an LLM or a master's in law, and
Okay.
the intent was to come back because we're beginning to get a lot of external or multinational companies who were doing work with us. And I felt like having an LLM in America would increase my chances of, one, understanding their law, understanding or seeing the law, the Ghanaian legal practice in their eyes, because I'm sure they come and then they are shocked about some of the maybe still a bit more backward things that we are doing in legal practice. Facilitation fee, they didn't understand, like we have to facilitate people to be able to get the documents you need from Registrar General's department. Like I wanted to see how far advanced their practice was, and I felt like I could bring my learnings to Ghana. But when I came to the US, I finished my LLM and I realized that there was opportunity for me to simply just take their bar and be licensed as a lawyer in the US. Pretty straightforward. And the interesting thing is that because I was from Ghana, I didn't even need to have had the LLM to be able to be called the bar. All I needed to do
Oh,
was
okay.
pass the uniform bar exam, which is the bar exam that cuts across over 36 states. Once you
Okay.
pass the bar and get a high mark, you can even transfer your results. If you remember, when I was doing my introduction, I said I'm even trying to be called into several other states because I
Right.
even have the
Yeah.
opportunity to just transfer my results to certain bars and simply be called. And I felt like that was an excellent opportunity that I shouldn't let go. So I finished my LLM. My LLM was in international trade, corporate law, and commercial law, because like I said, that's what I practiced back in Ghana. And then after that, all I simply needed to do was to submit my documentation from Ghana, being my certificates of being called to the bar, my transcripts from LLB and the law practice. They evaluated it. It took about 3 to 5 months for them to evaluate. Once they evaluated, they gave me the clear and said I was eligible to write the bar. The next step, so the US bar was in three steps. One was the MPRE, which is more of like the professional and ethics exam, just
Okay.
assessing how well I know the ethical practices in the US as a lawyer. Then once you pass that, there's the second one, which is the state specific bar exam. So I had to take the New York bar exam. And then the third was the UB, which is more of the universal bar exam. And that also
Yeah.
was a 2-day exam. The first day was the essays and MPT. They call it MPT and MEEs. So there were
Okay.
essays, and then once the MPT was more like the practicals. So we were given huge booklets of like a case, and then you were asked to either write a legal opinion, draft a statement of proceedings, a statement of claim, stuff like that. So that was the morning one, and then the afternoon one was six essays,
Hey.
spanning over 17 subjects. It could be come from 17 subjects. So my essays, it was crazy. It was 3 hours for each session. And then so the essays covered evidence, constitutional law, civil procedure, criminal procedure, contract law, torts, partnerships, evidence, secure transactions. There were so many of
You
them.
are a
So
true lawyer.
to let you
You,
know,
you have the thing.
it,
I won't even
it
From
was
remember.
scratch.
so much. It was so much. It's not easy. That I feel like that was
So
the hardest exam I ever wrote. And after
can
passing the
imagine.
Ghana bar
I can
exam, I thought that
imagine.
was the hardest exam. But the US exam is not easy. So anyone who's thinking of it, it's not easy, but you can do it once you study and take your time.
It's interesting because you mentioned that you didn't need to do the LLM, right?
I didn't need to.
But
Yep.
I'm wondering, so if somebody just, I guess for, if you practice as a lawyer in Ghana, some of the, the documentation, the essays, like you kind of have a sense of the structure and all of that, right? But how much of the content of US law do you need to know or have, right, to pass the US bar exams?
You need to know everything. So
Hmm.
I didn't need the LLM, but then the good thing is I took some of the courses. For example, I took property law, I took I think I took property law, I took civil procedure, I took secure transactions and business associations. So that's their corporate law, that's their land law, that's their transactions law, secure transactions law, and then that's their. I think they also had mergers and acquisitions. So that helped me understand the legal system. And then one thing with the LLM is when you are coming in, you are taught the American legal system, which is very different from the Ghanaian legal system.
Okay.
Ghana is a republic. By US, we do have federal. We have the
Yeah.
federal system. So just navigating through that, you need to know to have a better understanding of those differences in like structures. And what helped me was there's usually a bar practice um, um, like some sort of like a bar preparation companies that they sell
Mhm.
around. So we have Kaplan, we have Barbary, we have Themis. You need to grab
These
one of
Kaplan
those.
people.
They chop money
Kaplan is
They're
everywhere.
making
everywhere.
money. Oh, they are really making
They're
money,
everywhere.
and yeah.
I see.
So I had to study that.
Okay.
So that helped
So
me prepare.
maybe two questions and then we call it a wrap.
Okay.
One that I'm interested in is how do we make the system good for people back home? Because like I say, we definitely everybody cannot leave, right? And if there are folks that end up staying and end up working in the system, from your perspective, how do we make it a better system for people to stay and to work and to thrive, most importantly?
Because we need lawyers. We
Yeah.
You
absolutely
do.
need lawyers in Ghana. Everywhere, every
I
corner
think
of Ghana.
yeah. I think one of it I'm seeing being put in place. For example, like investing back into the Ghanaian legal system. I see that now we have like digitization where you can file system like file
Yeah.
electronically, where previously we'd have to get our clerks to manually come and file things. All these things cause delays. Two, we should push more out of litigation, which I see that also happening. So now there are a lot of people going into arbitration. When I was in Ghana, we literally had like a list of like 10 or 12 arbitrators, and all those kind of arbitration issues would go to them. So they were eating. So now younger people are looking into going to arbitration, and they should open the door. The gatekeepers shouldn't hold all these big briefs. They should open the door for younger, very vibrant
Yeah.
lawyers to also get the opportunity to also eat a piece of the cake. That's the thing. The big ones are still holding strongly onto their purses. And so it's making law not lucrative for younger people who have Charlie, they are making
Hey,
it not lucrative for young people. So people are leaving. That's why people are leaving. Create more opportunities for them to also have a seat at the table. It's not about age. That's one thing I had an issue with. I would go to court, stand on my feet, be delivering a very sound argument that the judge is following. And then the opposing lawyer might be an old man. He's like, who are you? When I was called to the bar, like those kind of when I was called to the bar, you were in
what does it
diapers.
matter?
Like
I'm your
it
senior.
doesn't matter. I'm your senior. Let me talk first. Those kind of things, we need to let go of it. As long as we are having mutual respect for ourselves and you are making a sound argument.
Yeah.
So they like to bully the younger lawyers, especially the women. And the women come in and say, I can't do this. A lot of them end up going into corporate practice, not because they don't have a love for litigation, but simply because of being bullied. I love litigation and I
Yeah.
was constantly bullied because of
Oh,
my
sorry.
stature
Yeah.
and how young I am. But then you need to know that the person is speaking sense.
The
So
stature
the
of
good thing is I'll give
the brain that matters.
exactly. The good thing is that I never encountered, okay, maybe I encountered a couple of chauvinistic judges, but a lot of the judges were very open, and I realized that lots of them who were like this had education abroad. So they were
Yeah.
very enlightened. They'll tell the lawyer, please, I'm listening, she's on her feet, let her speak. And so maybe creating more opportunity. I know the government is also creating an opportunity for lawyers to come and do this exchange program in Georgetown Law School. So that's
Hey,
good. So like, well, so
Hey,
far,
even
at least
up
the
and
people I
Okasa,
know,
have they told you the
I know the
roadmap?
people who have gone
Please,
came
please.
back.
They will go.
Yeah,
I beg, they will go.
so like those kind of opportunities for people to go and learn about other legal systems coming back, that's
Right.
also good.
Yeah.
Paying them better, that will make people stay. Paying them better, because when we're in practice, I remember I used to see some of my friends Charlie trekking to go and take trotro just to go to a course. I'm like,
At
hey,
least the
lawyer,
economy is affecting
lawyer.
everybody.
No, every like in your, but the sad thing is that once you're a lawyer, everybody expects your earning potential.
Esquire, they also
Everybody's
just come.
Esquire,
escrow
who
cutting
need to-
trotro mu there pressure
Yeah.
and extra cutting trotro, but they are
Yeah.
not paying them well. They're paying them 500
Yeah.
cedis a month and things, so they have
Yeah.
to pay better so that people will
Yeah.
stay.
I guess the whole like I'm older than you thing is unfortunately a bit of it is like cultural, right? Some of these
It
things
is.
should change definitely.
It is. It
So
is.
one final question. So you talked about taking these exams and you did an LLM. So if
Mm-hmm.
let's say somebody with an LLB from Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much money are we thinking if they want to say be called to a US, bar like a state or whatever, like born a tough fan, bear saying, are we talking?
For LLB, if you only have an LLB from Ghana, you would need to come and do law school in the US. So that's a
Okay.
lot. We are looking at a semester being about $40,000 to $50,000. Oh, sorry, a year being about $40,000 to $50,000, and
That
that
one
three
said.
years. So it means you are looking at $150,000 for law school. After that, the exam, I'll say budget about $5,000, 2,000 something for getting the bar prep that I told you about. That helps you prepare. The bar exam is close to 1,000, like 750. Then you have to take the MPRE and then the state specific exam. So all that could lead up to 5,000.
Are there
So
scholarships for the law school?
there are scholarships. There are scholarships. So a lot of these law schools also require you to take the LSAT if you only have an LLB. So make sure that you figure out what school you are interested in and to take the LSAT if you need to. If you have the LLM and you've been called to the bar in the US, so let's say if you've been called to the bar in Ghana and you're coming in, you can just take the bar straight up. So you need about $5,000 to $6,000 to prepare and take the bar. And because I would encourage you to take the bar prep, because that's how you know about the American system. Some people want to increase their chances of getting a job because the US still understands their JDs now that they are opening their minds to the fact that there's another LLB, which is also a law degree. And the funny thing is, I think it's just US and Canada that have the JD. Every other country uses LLB as a law degree. So some people increase their chances by taking what we call an accelerated JD, which is a 2-year JD program, which is a 2-year JD program, which you can actually take. And so once again, about 40 to 50,000 per year. So that's looking at 100,000. And then once they are called to the bar, they say it increases their chances. Yeah, dollars. It increases their chances of finding a job. I was lucky. I found my job using just the LLM and being called to the New York bar. So if you're also looking at probably the certifications that you need, I could also proffer some help. For me, what I did is I did research in the field of law that was catching a lot of traction. And that's what you should do. You should do proper research. You shouldn't just think, okay, I'm coming to the US to do a personal injury or whatever. Look at what is catchy, and tech is catchy now. So immediately I started learning about, I took a Scrum Master course, which so I'm certified as a Scrum Master. I took privacy, I took cybersecurity, and I'm taking AI now. So that gives me the edge. A lot of these lawyers in the US have degrees in like engineering, in tech space, have degrees in like engineering, some form of tech. So these things were what brought me up to pass, a lawyer who understands tech. And that's how come I'm currently working with a bank company as a lawyer, because then you are working with engineers and product people and you need to speak their language, even though you're a lawyer. So that could also be an avenue, being a niched lawyer and having some expertise in the field.
Okay.
Interesting.
A lot of nuggets.
Yeah, I
A
feel
lot
like
of
we have to
nuggets.
bring you back.
Hey, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
Charlie, the time that we
Just give me some
Exactly.
$10,000. I'll come.
We can't pay you. And
Oh,
actually,
see.
we have to end. We have to end before it's an hour because she will start saying, "Pay me per hour." And pay me.
Ah. I don't put there. No, we don't
We
go
do
there.
our this you.
But yeah, this is very very good info. I mean, I guess we don't need to get into this part. Maybe somebody's wondering, well, after I make all this money, how big is the grass? Like at the end of
It
the day.
is, it
But
is, it
from
is,
everything you've
it
said,
is.
it seems like it's really worth
It
it.
is.
It's
It
good.
is very green. Like I told you, even if you don't have a certification, the legal compliance is there. Compliance work is there, and people earn six figures easily without even being called to the bar and are into legal
Right.
compliance. And then when you're called to a lawyer, it goes into the higher six figures. So the grass is
Mm,
definitely green. It's worth. I'll
mm.
say it's worth taking a loan, and we're taking a student loan to pursue a degree in the
What's
US.
that,
It's worth
Alex?
it.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Antoinette Esquire. um, Maybe very soon, with all your tech accolades, we'll add more names.
Anyway,
This has been very, very educative and helpful. So maybe we'll find another way to bring you back on.
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So,
Sounds
well,
good.
folks, there you have it. Wait there from lawyer Nankasa.
And then
What pense.
for
Yeah.
Kwame,
Yeah, we hope you find this video as informative as we have. If you have, if you're a lawyer or a law student, or you have friends, family, enemies who are studying law, be sure to forward this video to them, so that they can also, have access to this information. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. If you have comments, drop them below. If you have other fields that you would want us to, bring on and talk to them, we have a good collection of folks lined up anyway. But if you have others, just let us know. So at this point, I guess we'll thank you again, lawyer, for making the time, taking this time off to speak to us and to our audience. Thank you.
all right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right.